I'm back with another brutal tier list, but today I'm going to be talking about brutal horror film openings. I know I've done quite a few of these videos recently. It's because as soon as I start thinking about it, I start thinking about all these scenes, all these openings, endings and everything. So I just write them all down and then I suddenly have enough to make a video. So I thought, why not? Because I really enjoy making them and it seems like people have been enjoying watching them. And I also love to see your comments on your opinions of where you would put them, and also if you have any that you would have added to this list, because I can add them in to a future video. So let's go through our tiers quickly from S tier to D tier. Starting off at S tier, we have Absolutely Sick. These ones will obviously be the most brutal openings. A tier is Something I'll Never Forget. B tier is Hiding Behind My Blanket. C tier is Give Me More Gore. And the final tier, D tier, is Iconic but Tame. As I do with all of these videos, I will leave the tier list that I created in the description so you can do it for yourself. You could always do it alongside me if you're like watching this on a computer or a TV and then have your phone free. You can do the tier list at the same time as me if you wanted to. Starting off with the opening of It Follows, we see a girl frantically running down the street. We're not quite sure what she's running from yet, but she seems quite distressed. She goes to the beach, but this ends up not being the best decision because we get a jump cut to her very mangled body. She's dead on the beach and she has like her leg in the air and it's broken. It's quite a disturbing and shocking image for an opening scene. So I'm going to put this one in A tier, Something I'll Never Forget. Next is The Monkey. This has a very wacky opening and it really does set up the tone for the film. We see one of our characters frantically running into a second-hand shop with a toy monkey saying, "Please just take this off my hands." The person behind the desk is confused and apprehensive, but then we see a series of events that lead to the shop owner dying in a kind of Final Destination-esque death, which I feel like is what happens throughout this whole film. The shop owner does end up getting impaled through the head. This film is full of gore. Unfortunately, it is CGI gore, but it is a lot of fun. I'm going to put this one in Hiding Behind My Blanket. Next, we have Cube from 1997. The opening is absolutely iconic. I love this film franchise. We basically follow a group of people that wake up in a giant cube that is filled with lots of little cube rooms. They are kind of like puzzle rooms. They must make their way through them to try and find an exit. Some of these rooms are rigged, so they have to be extra careful. We get a perfect display of a rigged room at the beginning when we see a man wake up in one of the cube rooms. He then travels to another room next to it, which ends up being rigged, but we only realise this when we see him standing there and blood start coming from different parts of his body because he has basically had a thin wire go through him and cubed him. I'm going to put this one again in Hiding Behind My Blanket because it's not the most brutal because of the CGI, but it is still really, really iconic and I love this opening. Although it isn't too long of an opening, it's definitely a great setup for the film. Next is the opening for Terrifier 3. This is one set at Christmas and this definitely has the most disturbing opening out of all of the Terrifier films, especially because there are children involved. When this film starts, we see Art the Clown dressed as Santa in a family's home on Christmas Eve. The two children and the two parents have gone to bed, but this doesn't stop Art from creeping to their rooms and basically just going at it with an axe. He kills the whole family. We actually don't get to see him kill the youngest little girl. He just kind of opens the cupboard and finds her because she's hiding from Art, which isn't a surprise because he's absolutely terrifying. And it kind of ends there, so we just have to assume that he's killed her. We get some great practical effects that look very realistic with the axe cutting off the family's limbs. So this one is going to have to go in S tier. Next we have Grafted, which is a body horror film that came out this year. In this we follow a girl and her father who both have a birthmark and they are determined to get rid of it and find the cure to basically graft skin that will grow over it. In the opening scene we see the tragic loss of the little girl's father as they are trying an experiment out that goes wrong, which results in skin growing over his mouth, his nose and his eyes. So obviously he can't breathe. He basically suffocates to death This is really, really disgusting to look at. The CGI is quite obvious, but it is very grotesque. I'm going to put this one in hiding behind my blanket because honestly, I did find it hard to watch, but the CGI did make it less brutal. Next, we have the opening to Wrong Turn 2 Dead End. I did actually recently recommend this film, but I just had to include the opening because it has one of the most iconic openings to a 2000s film. The Wrong Turn franchise is about kind of a group of crazed hillbilly cannibals that live in the woods. We see somebody drive through a wooded area. They end up getting stopped by these cannibals, and then they result in cutting them in half, completely in half. Think Terrifier in half. This is extremely over the top and unrealistic, but it is so iconic. So I think I'm going to put this one in something I'll never forget. You just know that I had to include something from the Saw franchise, so I've included the opening of Spiral. We do get a trap in this opening done on a detective. He is held up on a train line. The train is obviously going to come soon, so he needs to escape before it comes. But the thing is, he has his tongue in a device. He's standing on a stool, and his instructions tell him that if he wants to escape before the train collides with him, then he must jump off the stool, resulting in his tongue being ripped out. This trap ends in an absolute disaster when he falls off of the stool just as a train is coming, so he gets his tongue ripped out, and then shortly after gets run over by the train. This is definitely one of the more memorable traps from the Saw franchise, so I think I'm going to put this one in S tier. Okay, so now we have the opening to Strange Darling. I absolutely love this film. It's really psychological and full of lots of twists and turns. This film is set out in chapters, but they are not in a linear order. So the opening scene, we see a woman running away from a man who is chasing her. There is a little bit of a chase on the road. This is a really good opener because we are honestly wondering how the hell they've got here, who they are, what's going on, is she going to escape? It leaves us with so many questions and it leaves us desperate to find out more. So I'm going to put this one in Give Me More Gore because it doesn't necessarily have a gory opening. It is a very good opening, but it's just not too high on the brutality scale. Next, we have the opening to Smile 2. This is one of my favourite openings in a horror film in the most recent years. It's actually a continuation from the events of the ending of Smile, which I really did not anticipate. We get to see Kyle Gallner's character, who has obviously now got the curse, tried to give the curse to some really bad people. Things end up going wrong. He ends up running out of the house because there are some really bad people after him. He's running away and runs in the road, ends up getting hit by a car. His body is dragged along the road in a bloody smile shape. If this was just a tier list on my favourite openings, then this one would probably take first place. But on the brutality scale, I think I'm going to put this one in something I'll never forget. Next, we have the opening to the film Urban Legend. This is another one that is literally one of the best horror opening scenes. It's one that has stuck in my mind ever since I first watched it as a teen. It definitely unlocked a new fear within me. This film starts off with a woman on a road trip. She has to stop for gas, and when she does, the man comes outside to fill up her gas for her, which I'm guessing is an American thing because in the UK, no one would fill up your gas for you. We have to do it all ourselves. Whilst he is doing her gas, he looks in the back seat and then looks very concerned. He then says to the lady, please can you come inside? We've got your credit card on the phone. He's basically just trying to find an excuse to get her out of the car. But he has a stutter, unfortunately, so he's really trying to get the words out to her and really trying to help this lady. But it's late at night. She thinks he might be dodgy, so she quickly drives away. And when she drives away, the petrol man shouts after her. He manages to get his words out and say, there's someone in the back seat. We then cut to her frantically driving away because she's thinking that the guy at the petrol station was weird. But little does she know, someone in her back seat raises up and has an axe and just smashes it into her head, obviously resulting in her death. We do get a cutaway at the gore, so it's not really that brutal. It's more of the idea, and it is more just like unlocking a new fear. So I think I'm going to put this one in hiding behind my blanket. The next one is very, very intense and disturbing, and that is the opening scene to the coffee table. And when I say the opening, I mean like the first tragic event that happens. In this film, a couple are out shopping, furniture shopping for a new coffee table, and the salesman manages to convince them to buy a certain one in particular. The couple goes home and the man is left with their newborn baby to put together this coffee table whilst the mum has to go out for a little bit. The coffee table is made of glass, and there ends up being a very tragic accident involving the baby and the coffee table. I won't go into too much details here. You can just imagine it is obviously absolutely awful. We don't actually get to see the incident happen, but this film is absolutely devastating. It is just a film that has your anxiety through the roof the whole way through. Just because we don't get to see this incident, it doesn't mean it's not brutal. This one definitely has to go in the top tier of absolutely sick. Next up, we have Five Nights at Freddy's, which is very different from the last film I just spoke about. Much more light-hearted, an easy watch, and definitely for a wider audience. I actually really liked the opening scene to this, and I do wish we got to see more, and we actually got to see the gore. It starts off with one of the security men of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria ending up in a saw-like trap. It looked really interesting and complex, and it gave me hope that maybe we would see some interesting deaths and maybe some kind of trap-like devices, but unfortunately it does cut away before we get to see any gore, so I am going to put this one in Give Me More Gore. Next is the opening of Wolfman. This is Lee Winnell's Wolfman from this year. I'm not absolutely massive on this film. It was kind of like a middle of the ground film for me. I enjoyed some aspects from it, but it's definitely not one of my favourites. The opening scene is beautiful with the nature shots, and I really liked this story and the chemistry between the son and the father at the beginning. We see them go out on a hunting trip, but whilst they are out on this trip, the father sees something which we can only assume to be the Wolfman. Their relationship is really complex, and you can definitely tell that there is some tension there, which would lead to generational trauma. This opening scene is really cool, but it's not brutal at all, so I am going to put it in iconic but tame. Next, we have the opening for Scream. Obviously, this is absolutely iconic. I already know where I'm going to place this one because the Scream films never go too far with the gore. As I've said before, they are more light-hearted horror comedies. We do get a little bit of brutality when Ghostface stabs Casey. He also guts her boyfriend, so we do get some gore. There's no denying how iconic this opening scene is, and I feel like I don't even need to go through what happens because most of you will probably know. I'm going to put this one in C tier, Give Me More Gore. Next up, we have the opening from Ari Aster's Midsummer. The opening is very different from the rest of the film. We get to see some backstory on our main character, Danny, before she travels to Sweden. She is going through an absolutely terrible time because her sister ends up killing herself as well as her whole family. She attaches a hose from the exhaust pipe of their car to her own face and then to their parents' face. Danny doesn't live with them, so she's not there whilst this is happening. This is such a crazy and tragic way to die. It left Danny with so much trauma. I'm gonna have to put this one in S tier. Next is a film that came out last year, and that is Oddity. This is actually a really good film that came out last year. It's kind of underrated because it's not as popular. It didn't get a cinema release. I think it's a Shudder original. You can watch it on Shudder. The opening to this film leaves us with so many questions. We see a couple that have moved into a new remote house. Danny is left home alone when her husband has to work overnight. And that night, someone comes to the door. He looks very suspicious, and she opens, there's like a little wooden flap thing so she can talk to him and see him through the door. He says to her that there is someone inside the house and that she needs to come outside, open the door and let him in. But of course, this seems like he's just trying to get in the house and get to her. This is all we really get with the opening. We don't know if she opens the door. We don't know if there is someone inside the house and he's trying to help, or if he is just trying to get in himself. I love this kind of mysterious opening that sets us up with lots of questions. This isn't a brutal opening. It is a really good opening, so I'm going to put it in iconic but tame. Next, we have the opening to Evil Dead 2013. We see a girl running through the woods just before she gets ambushed by two men. She then wakes up in the basement of a cabin tied to a post with her family and lots of other people around her. She is asking them why they're doing this to her. Her dad explains to her that she killed her mother and is basically destroying so many other people's lives. She seems confused, and then he strikes a match and she changes. She is actually a deadite, and all this innocentness was an act. Her dad throws the match on her and she laughs as she is being burnt alive. This is an opening that I will truly never forget, so I am going to put it in A tier. Next is the opening scene to Sinister, and this has a very simple and basic opening scene. We just get to see some footage of a family, but this family are being hung from a tree. They all have bags on their head. You can tell that there are some children in there as well. A branch on the other side of the tree breaks, which sends the family upwards, and they are hung to their deaths. Of course, they do have the bags on their heads, so we don't get to see everything, but just seeing this full family being hung without really any context as the opening scene is so brutal and shocking. It's definitely effective. I'm going to put this one in the top tier. Next up is the opening scene, or the premonition scene, to Final Destination. We see a group of teens on a school trip. They are boarding Flight 180. We mainly follow the main character Alex, and he has a premonition of the plane crashing and everybody dying. He comes back from this premonition and freaks out, resulting in him and a few other people getting kicked off the plane. He wanted to leave the plane anyway. This is our first ever premonition in the Final Destination franchise. It's so iconic. It's not really that brutal, so I am going to put it in C tier. Next, we have the opening from the original Halloween film from 1978. In this opening, we see young Michael Myers on Halloween night as he goes on a little murderous spree as a child. He's wearing a clown costume, and we get to see him standing outside of the iconic Myers house as it pans away just as the film is starting. I'm going to put this one in iconic but tame. Next, we have Get Out. I was actually not sure where to place this on the tier list, and I'm still not 100% sure. The opening scene is really creepy as we see a man walking down the street, but a car pulls up beside him. He just knows that they are looking for trouble, so he tries to quickly walk away, but somebody comes out and they actually have a medieval knight helmet on their head. They kidnap this man before it cuts to the title card. Whilst this scene is happening, we get the really scary and eerie song of Run Rabbit. For scare factor and creepiness, this one is definitely up there. It makes you feel incredibly uneasy. I was originally thinking about putting it in iconic but tame, but I don't really feel like it fits in there because although it is iconic, it's not so tame. So I think I'm going to bump it up one and just put it in Give Me More Gore, although I don't necessarily feel like this needs more gore, but I don't really know where else to place it on this ranking. Next, we have The Hunt from 2020. Honestly, the opening scene is quite deceptive because it feels like a completely different film from the rest of the film. I actually previously tried watching this film, and after the opening first kind of few scenes, I lost interest and I think I turned it off. I'm not sure because I don't really remember it, but then I recently watched it this year and I really enjoyed the film, so it's definitely one that you have to stick with. It opens with a battle royale scenario and most of the characters die, which I feel like is what confused me a lot when I first watched it. They don't go too far with the gore, but we definitely do see some deaths, so I'm going to put this one in Hiding Behind My Blanket. Next is a scene from an upcoming film, so I won't actually be describing this one in any detail at all because I don't want to give it away, but I do want to say that this film is extremely brutal and it definitely deserves a watch, and that is Bring Her Back. But all I'm going to say is that the opening definitely deserves A tier, and some scenes in this film would be in S tier. Lastly, we're going to be talking about the opening for Bones and All. I saw this one in cinemas and I was not expecting that opening. It starts with a group of girls having a sleepover and things quickly turn sinister when one of the girls bites off one of the other girls' fingers. She then quickly runs out of the house, and that is our opener. Bones and All is very gory and disgusting. It's the kind of film where the scene is actually worse watching it than talking about it. It's one that pushes boundaries and makes you feel incredibly uncomfortable from the opening scene. This one deserves to be in first place. It deserves to be in S tier. Absolutely sick. So that's the end of my ranking today. Here is the final product. I can't wait to see your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to leave some of your favourite iconic or brutal opening scenes for horror films in the comments, because I may include it in a future video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another one soon.